Alright, today we are replacing rotors, hub, and bearings on a 2007 GMC Savana with a 6.61 ton dually. As you can see, we have had bearing failure here. Bearings have turned to pretty much dust and shards of metal. We're going to pop off the old bearing here. As you can see, there's some scarring that's preventing the bearing from popping off pretty easy. So we're going to bust out the old chisels and get this done. Make sure you get the shield off as well. You have to tap on the outer ring and bust it loose. Now, as I was saying before, the axle's pretty scarred up, so we're going to grab a couple sheets of sandpaper here and sand her down. There's some pretty good scarring here from the bearing getting chewed up and just getting tossed around the axle. I'm going to try and sand that down a little bit smoother out. Want to make sure she's nice and flat so no lips are hanging out. Pretty decent. Alright, now we're going to take some of your good old trusty AutoZone brake cleaner and clean everything up under there. Clean her up a little bit. Looky here. More pieces of bearing that have actually like welded themselves on there. So we've got a little bit more sanding to do. I'm gonna take some more chisel and pop off these little pieces that have gotten so hot that they attach themselves here. Prevent our rotor from going on. White here, as you can see, all the scarring inside of there. So we got new pieces coming our way. Alright, here's our old rotor and top hat. As you can see, I've already knocked the studs out. This is what happens when you drive a shuttle with a dually on it with a flat tire. Got all our studs here that we knocked out with the big giant hammer. I'll show you how to put them in. Alright, to get our new studs in the rotor and hub, we're going to want to pound them in. You're going to want to use some sort of piece of steel. I use this piece to wedge in between the hammer and the rotor and the studs. So we're going to get down on this. As soon as the rotor gets here, I'm going to slap those pins
Alright,
in.
in between the cement and the rotor, you're going to want to lay down some cardboard to absorb some of the impact when you're pounding the studs in.
Alright, our parts have arrived. Brand new rotor. Beautiful. And our new hub top hat piece. Alright, let's get started. This is a bitch to do by yourself, so if you got a helping hand, take advantage of it. I'm having to hold it with my feet, and I'm about 15 minutes into pounding. Almost there. Stud's got to be drove almost all the way in. There's two. You don't want to have any gap in between there. That's too much play. You hear that? It means if you put this on right now, put the bearings in it, and slap her back together, you will break your studs. You do not want to do that. So make sure your studs are all the way in. And 30 minutes later, we have all the studs pounded in. Nice and tight. Minimal play on the rotor and hub, so we're good to go. Next up is mount the bearings inside, and we'll start piecing her back together. We got our new bearings here. Very nice. You're going to want to go ahead and grease that bearing up with some grease. Bearing in there. rotor. Put your shield on top. Now you have to be careful when you're pounding this in with your bearing driver set. You don't want to pinch the seal and get it in there cockeyed. So be patient and take your time. Right. Might as well grease up your shield a little bit so it slides in there nice and easy. Alright, good time. Now you want to try and pound this in there as straight as you can. You don't want it coming in cockeyed. Then you're going to pinch your bearing shield and it's not going to be great. You have to take it all out and do it again. With the new bearing, of course. Now if she starts going in uneven, you might actually have to use a chisel to get that side down that's not going down. And with our driver set and some chisels, the bearing is now in. The outer bearing is a lot harder than the inner bearing. I will now show you how to put in the inner bearing. Same deal, give her a little bit of grease. To get in, if you don't have the right tools, I'm using another shield that I got, same size, laying it right on top of it. Make sure that's nice and flat in there. Now you can see the lip in between there. You gotta make sure she's nice and pressed down right inside of there. So we keep going. Put the shield back on. That's one thing you got to be careful about too, is not getting this other shield stuck in there, which I just did. Alright, so when that happens, we're going to turn this beast around. Stick our chisel in there. Get our extra shield that we got in there off. Not simple, she's out. Nice and flat, brand new bearing. Grease up your bearing. Grease her up nice and good. Don't want your new bearing to lock up. Set it right on top there. Now we're going to get on our shield cover. She goes right on top there. Take your hammer, whack, whack, whack. Make sure she's nice and flat. Alright, now you're ready for business. Now it's time to throw this beast back together. Time to throw on your new rotor. You're going to take your little dial here and put it back on. As many turns as you took it off. It was 14 turns for me. Put it on there nice and straight. Alright, now you're going to take your little pin and put it in your dial stopper. You're going to put your little clip back in place like so. Very nice. You're going to want to make sure the inner axle that you removed is nice and clean. Unfortunately, this one was left outside overnight. And our good old New Mexican weather, she got some dirt and rain on her, so we'll clean her up nice and good before we put her back in. Make sure you get all the dirt off of there. If not, you're going to have one giant axle piece of sandpaper going back in. Alright, you're going to want to remount your bracket. Make sure your pads are out of the way. Tighten it up as much as you can by hand. There's not that much space in there to get the ratchet in there. Make sure she's nice and tight. You don't want your bracket coming loose. Okay, now you're gonna decompress the pistons on your calipers here. You're going to want to go ahead and open up your master cylinder. If you've gotten this far, I trust you know where your master cylinder is. Sucker's opened up all the way. So we can slip her back on and mount her over our bracket. Put your pads back in. These pads still got a lot of life on them, so put in the same ones back in. No need to throw new ones on if you don't need to. But if you choose to, that's up to you. Alright. Pads are on. Now it's time to slip our caliper on the bracket over our pads. Alright. It's gonna be an 18. sure they're nice and tight. Now, because the new top hat did not come with a gasket, we're going to go ahead and use some ultra black gasket maker. Go and put it all around the edges there. And be sure and get a good amount on there, but not overkill. Alright, time to slide our axle in. Gotta kind of feel around in there before she pops in. Watch your fingers as well. Woo! Ah. Bad karma, boys. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and get your hole started here. You don't want to tighten them down all the way right away, because we're having to use this gasket maker here. And our notorious Franken bolts from the last mechanics. Right, it's time to tighten these bad boys up. You don't want to over tighten. You make your gasket very useless. Snug them down. Not over tight. Tires are on. Time to drop this beast down. Put your master cylinder cap back on. Make sure your rear end is filled up with gear oil. That is a must. Must, must, must. We're going here with some Valvoline 80 weight. There's your plug. Want to make sure she's nice and
chopped off.